Hello and welcome to the Ravine Fiends season preview. We got Vince Samperio and Mike Samperio here, and we're gonna go through, a couple things about the Dodgers, a couple things about the NL West and the rest of the NL, what we're confident in, what we're not confident in, and and finish with a bold prediction and final record prediction. You'll be seeing this on opening day. Happy opening day. Let's get started. So first thing we're going to talk about is the rotation. As you probably know, Clayton Kershaw is starting on the injured list. Rich Hill is starting on the injured list. The Dodgers' first five in the rotation is Ryu, Stripling, Maeda, Buehler, and Urias. So we're going to start off with the ace, the one who got the extension in the offseason, Clayton Kershaw. Mike, are you worried about Clayton Kershaw at all?
Worried, yes and no. Yes, because the injuries have been kind of consistent throughout the year. No, I'm not worried in the sense of the rest of the staff picking up the slack, because we've seen in years past, it was 2016 he went down and we won that miraculous run to make it to the playoffs and, had a deeper run. 2017, 2018, he's dealt with injuries and, Stripling stepped up one year. Alex Wood stepped up a previous year. So am I worried in the Dodgers' sake? No. Am I worried for Kershaw's sake? Yes, because it is kind of a trending issue, and I just want to see the best pitcher out there, throwing every 5 days. So it's a worrisome thing for him, but for the team, I'm not as worried.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not too concerning about the team, especially right now, as we move on and move forward in the year and into the postseason. It might be an issue. But for right now, I mean, they'll be fine. Kershaw is taking his time, which is a good thing. We usually see him trying to rush back. He's taking his time. So
yeah, I'd much rather have him towards the end of the season fully healthy than trying to work through in April and May, and then who knows what could happen past that, because he does try to rush through injuries, which is his competitive nature. But I'd much rather see him healthier come July, August for the playoff push. So
yeah. All right. Moving on. One guy that has been impressive before, had a big injury, came back impressed at the end of last year and in the postseason, and had one of the best springs you'll see from a starting pitcher. It's Julio Urias. He's getting the start on Monday against the Giants. The Dodgers, the rumor is that they'll have him around 100, 110 innings. What are you looking forward to from Julio Urias?
The main thing is hopefully a full season. Obviously they have their innings limit with him, 100, 110. It's tough for me because I want to see these guys every 5 days, because it's just, as a Dodger fan, you want to see your best pitchers out every 5 days. Obviously do understand protecting his shoulder. Last year seeing him in the postseason, I think, is what gets me so excited for this season, seeing how he threw in big games. And obviously, I think with the versatility that we have in the pitching depth, they can move him into the bullpen, as a lefty specialist. Well, now with the 3-batter minimum, they may change as far as, when he's used. But I'm just excited. Hopefully he's on the roster the full season. He was touching 97, 98 pretty consistently in spring, which is exciting. So just, like I said, just kind of hoping that he's able to last the entire season, no injuries, but also, not having to get moved up and down. I think he's ready to kind of show what he's capable of. So I'm just excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little tough for him when he has that innings limit, but he's going to start the year with the major league team. And, that they're going to have to manipulate it somehow.
Yeah.
Luckily, they have a lot of pitching, and they'll be able to do it without, being too dependent on, moving them up and down. Ideally, we'd like to see him up with the team all year, but realistically, he'll probably move up and down a few times, maybe a DL or IL stint here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting to see, and it's hard to not get too excited over spring stats, but it's exactly what he showed in the postseason, and he kept it going this year, and he's only getting stronger. So
yeah, I mean, when you saw him just touching 97, 98, just hitting the corners, it's something you want to see going out there. So
all right, moving on to the bullpen. The bullpen got a little bit bad rap in the postseason last year. Dave Roberts had his little mishap, and Ryan Madson didn't help out. But Ryan Madson's no longer here. And I think, definitely the biggest question of the bullpen is Kenley Jansen. We saw him struggle last year, and now, He's dropped 25 pounds. He got the heart condition taken care of, and he's looking pretty good in the spring. His cutter's moving. So, do you trust Kenley Jansen right now?
Right now, I do. We know Jansen's a competitor. He's gone through 2 heart surgeries. To be able to keep playing. He wants to be out there. He wants the ball in the 9th inning, and I do trust him. I just want to make sure that the rest of the bullpen's ready to help him out, which I think hopefully Joe Kelly can kind of be what Brandon Morrow almost was a couple years ago. Kind of an 8th inning setup guy, because we know, being a Dodgers fan, that we've never really had that too much. It was always, how do we get to Jansen? There was never all right, one guy's got the 7th, one guy's got the 8th, and then Jansen the 9th. So I think Joe Kelly was a great signing because he can almost help out Jansen in that, where take some pressure off, and then also if Jansen does kind of fall off the wagon health wise or anything, then maybe Kelly can step up and take over the 9th in some cases. But like I said, I'm confident in Jansen. He's a competitor. He doesn't want to be failing out there, obviously. So I'm confident that he'll be ready and do what he needs to do to just be the pitcher that he's been. So
yeah, I'm definitely confident in Kenley Jansen, the man, and his mentality and everything. I'm not 100% sold yet on everything else, and just being realistic. Early on in the season, it won't be too bad if he blows a couple of saves, but I'd like to see him come in and just be the dominant force that he was 2 years ago and all the years past. So, like I said, I'm not 100% confident in him being able to do it, but I am 100% confident in him, doing what he needs to do to be able to do it.
Yeah.
All right. We'll move on. The bullpen, there's a lot of guys, a lot of question marks, but we'll see how that plays out a little bit first, and then we'll get into it as the season goes on. All right, we'll move into the lineup. A few new faces: Russell Martin, AJ Pollock.
Familiar new face in Russell Martin.
True. Alex Verdugo, another one will sort of be a new face. He's been around, but not too long. But let's talk about catcher, because the catcher, they lost Yasmani Grandal, who, for whatever reason, October haunts him. He's still a top 3-4 catcher in the game, and it's a big, loss from the lineup. Austin Barnes struggled mightily last season, and even though he was the starting catcher in the playoffs after Grandal kind of fizzled out, it wasn't because he was doing well. It was just because they needed someone, not Grandal,
to catch the ball at home plate.
Yeah. So, with the catcher position, a lot of teams can get away with, if the rest of your lineup is really good, the catcher may not matter too much. We even saw the Red Sox last year. Not Sandy Leon and whoever else they had.
Vasquez.
Yeah. There was no all-stars or even potential all-stars in that. What are you looking to see out of the catcher position? What do you think we're going to see?
What I would hope to see is some consistency. With Grandal, even as great as he was offensively, he had his months. He'd start off hot in April and then bat 100 in May and then 400 in June. So there was no real consistency. And obviously the main thing is the catcher, is the defensive guy. You want him to, make sure he's the captain out there, catching the balls right there on the home plate, working with the pitchers. We have such a diverse bullpen and rotation, so, taking lead on that. Like I said, I'm just hoping to see some consistency from Barnes and Martin. I think Barnes he's had a great spring, but hopefully that spring can translate into the regular season. I think Martin will be there to kind of help, push him a little bit. I think signing him was, acquiring him was good for Barnes in the sense of, yes, Barnes was kind of named the starter once Grandal, we knew he wasn't coming back, but Martin's done this before, and he's a veteran, and he knows how to get things done as well. So if Barnes is caught slipping a little bit, Martin's there to kind of take it in. But I'm also excited for Russell, being back in LA, with him and Loney and Camp back in the day. They were all fan favorites. So I'm excited to see what he can bring. Hopefully a Matt Kemp year. Kind of the return into LA and bring that back. But it's just a consistency. Just hoping. They don't have to be the big home run guy. Barnes doesn't have to do that, but just, hit around 260, 270 and, have it to where the catcher isn't the liability in the, being in the 7 or 8 hole, I think is what we need the most. So,
yeah, you don't want the 8-9 spot in the lineup to be 2 automatic outs when you're playing in the National League. This is actually a spot where I feel pretty confident, and I think Barnes I don't expect him to be 2017 Barnes. That's a little unfair at this point, but I do expect him to be good, and I expect Martin to, be. I mean, Russell Martin, if he's your backup catcher, he's probably able to start on at least 10, 12 teams in the MLB right now.
Yeah.
And he's the Dodgers essentially their backup right now. So the other thing is that, if they do falter, the Dodgers have two young studs that could potentially come up and make an impact.
Yeah.
Or they do have, a lot of they have those two young studs, and they have a lot else in their minor league system that could help them acquire a catcher, although there's not too many.
Yeah, I'm trying to run through that list, and there's not really a lot. Maybe this free agency, this kind of 1 year.
It'd have to be someone. I mean, even for a trade deadline, all the catchers that got taken this year, none of them would necessarily be on the trade block because they went to teams that are trying to win.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about the NL West. The Dodgers have won the division 6 years in a row. They are projected to win again. Nobody really improved in the offseason, and the Dodgers signed A.J. Pollock, got Russell Martin, and signed Joe Kelly, and they might have had not the best offseason, but, they didn't need to have the best offseason. Obviously, the Padres added Manny Machado. That was a big thing. And, the D-backs traded Goldschmidt, so they stepped back. They lost Corbin. Another thing for them. So are you scared of anyone in the NL West in terms of winning the West?
No. I have it written down. Dodgers winning the 7th division in a row. Like you said, I mean, none of the teams drastically improved. I mean, we did improve in some areas, and obviously we did lose in others. But that's with the depth that we have. It's, pretty easy to see that we do have the most complete team in the NL West. Like I said, we took the Diamondbacks' best player from them in a sense. When he's healthy, A.J. Pollock could be one of, top 5 center fielder. And who knows, there's a lot of question marks on that team. The Padres, they can't, their rotation isn't the strongest, and, everyone knows that already. So, sure, they'll have a prolific offense, but, we have a great rotation to counter up against that, and our offense has to go up against their pitching, and I'll take that, 10 times out of 10. So, the Giants, I mean, there's no really point in talking about them too much. They're just kind of there doing a rebuild, I guess. I will say that the Rockies do kind of pose some sort of a threat. I think the only thing that makes me a little more confident with them is that they're relying on a lot of guys to build off the success of one season, primarily in their pitching staff. With Freeland and Anderson and Marquez, sorry. All those guys, they had great years, and pitching half their games at Coors is obviously tough, but can they do it again is the big question. So if I were to pick a team that I think could make a run, get the Dodgers run for their money throughout the whole season, I think it'd be the Rockies. But we've seen the Rockies, do it the last couple of years, but they're banking on 1 year wonders with some of their pitching staff. So if they can repeat, they can give the Dodgers a chance at the division. But I'm still rocking with the 7 years in a row.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Rockies took the Dodgers to game 163,
Yeah.
or more so, the Dodgers took the Rockies to game 163. They kind of made a push at the end. But, last year was just such a weird year for the Dodgers, and you never, it did get a little, scary at the end of the last season that they weren't going to win the division. But, you were never confident. You never lost confidence that in a one-game playoff they would lose to the Rockies. And overall, they had the better team. They still have the better team. Barring complete meltdowns all around, I don't think there's any way the Dodgers can lose the NL West.
Yeah.
So with that being said, name one team that scares you in the rest of the NL that would stop the Dodgers from getting back to their 3rd World Series in a row.
I would say it's a team that almost stopped us from the World Series, the Brewers. I mean, Yelich seems to be just getting better and better. They have, now they added Grandal. Their big thing too is they didn't have a catcher. They had Kratz and I forgot the other guy's name, but they had 2 more defensive catchers than offensive catchers, and now they added an offensive catcher to their lineup. So, now there's that attached to it. And their rotation, that we saw with their rotation, their bullpen, they, Counsell knows how to work them. Throwing out crazy guys in the 4th or 5th inning, or taking out guys after 2 innings. He has something going, well over there, and that's the only team that really concerns me. Now, do they concern me a whole lot? No, but that's just my bias, obviously. And, I'm still very confident in the Dodger team, the depth that we have. I'll take our 25 guys plus our 40-man roster against any 40-man roster in the NL. But if I were to choose a team right now that I would say would give us a run for our money, it would be the Brewers again.
Yeah, the Brewers. I mean, that's a good pick. I personally, and I say this every year, and they never really get to that point. It's still the Nationals for me, and it was the Nationals last year, even though they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah,
and it's the Nationals again. Yeah, they lost Bryce Harper, but they had Juan Soto break out last year, and no guarantee that he's going to do it again, but it's fair to say that he can do it again. They're adding Victor Robles, another top prospect who can do that, and their rotation is nasty.
Yeah,
it's
their top three is
Scherzer, Strasburg, and Corbin. I mean, that's no joke. That potentially is better than the Dodgers rotation, depending how.
Yeah.
It obviously depends on how Kershaw is, but they scared me. They've always scared me, and it's also one of those things where they've never made it past the first round. So eventually it has to happen.
Yeah.
And you just don't want it to be the year they're playing you, or at least wait till the Dodgers win the World Series, then you guys can make it past it.
Yeah, it'll just be interesting with that NL East juggernaut. Now with all those teams, I mean, they're gonna beat up on each other all season. So, in the Central, obviously the Cubs are there, for the Brewers to compete with, and the Cardinals, now with Goldschmidt can compete. But that NL East with the Mets and the Phillies now with Harper and all those guys, that NL East is gonna be interesting to watch. I think hopefully a lot more stressful than NL West will be, but I mean, the Nationals with their top three in the rotation, they could be pretty deadly.
Yeah. All right. We'll finish the show with a few picks on things that'll happen during the season or heading into the season. We'll start off with the one thing about this team you're most confident in heading into the season.
I think it's the thing I'm usually most confident in is just the depth. We have guys. The versatility that we have. With Kike now being named as the primary second baseman, you would think, okay, well now who's our backup? And then you look at his Chris Taylor, and we've seen what Chris Taylor can do in the past couple years. And I mean, everyone says last year was a down year for him, but he still put up 20 home runs and about 70 RBIs. So from a versatility standpoint and kind of your 10th man off the bench in baseball, I guess I'll take 20 and 70 from a guy who's not your your starter. But yeah, it's just the depth. With the new front office coming in and all these guys that they acquire. Brad Miller took off in spring training, and obviously not with the team anymore. But if he was still on the team, he could have been the next Chris Taylor or Max Muncy.
Major league deal.
Exactly, and he ended up working himself to a major league deal. But it wouldn't have happened if he would have never signed with the Dodgers, or who knows what could have happened. So, I think the biggest thing that a lot of people forget about, which I always forget about, is that we have Freese too. David Freese is going to be a huge piece. He was a huge piece for us last year. Getting that clutch hit in the Atlanta series, coming up a couple times clutch in the Milwaukee series, and he's not even a starter. And he can easily start in half of, not even just a National League, he can start in half of the MLB, be a normal everyday player. So to have those guys come off the bench and pinch hit or play every other day, it's just the depth that we have is just always incredible, and that's just always makes me confident, when those injuries and stuff do happen. So that's what I'm always confident in.
Yeah. I mean, the depth obviously is a good one. I am confident in the offense. Seager's back. I trust Seager. He's a guy that can roll out of bed and hit. I trust Justin Turner. He's another guy who all he does is hit. AJ Pollock, assuming no freak injuries, he's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
Obviously they lost a lot of power. They lost Kemp. They lost Puig. They lost Grandal. That's about 60 some home runs right there.
Yeah.
But they lost Machado. But Seager, I have 100% confidence in Cody Bellinger. I think he's going to be a monster this year, just based on everything I have seen about him and have heard about him and just the way he is. And like you said, with that depth, I mean, there's points where your bench is going to be Russell Martin, Jock Peterson,
Chris Taylor, yep,
and
even Muncy on occasion, depending on
Muncy or Freeze. So you're gonna have guys that can start coming up to bat. So I'm really excited to see this offense. I know a new hitting coach, a little bit new techniques. It'd be nice to the home runs are nice, but as we saw last year, the clutch hitting was the struggle. But that'll even out. So I think the Dodgers will be fine there.
Yeah.
All right. So most confident to least confident. What scares you the most about this team?
I think it's kind of what we talked about still in the beginning. It's just the pitching. We have our two of our top three pitchers. I would say I put Rich Hill as probably number 3 behind Bueller, and two of our top 3 pitchers on the injured list to kind of start the season. So that's not always great. But like we kind of said with the depth, that kind of helps a little with Urias and Stripling and those guys. But it's just the pitching. We've seen in the past guys get injured. It seems when they're on the Dodgers, they get injured a lot. With Kershaw and Hill with a blister, or, whatever the case may be. So I'm just, that would not that I'm not confident in them. It's just, if I have to put which kind of group or which aspect of the Dodgers I would be least confident in, it's just the health of our pitching staff, and so even in the bullpen too, it's Cingrani now out, now we signed Justin Grimm. So, Field, we DFA'd Fields, because he wasn't doing well. And like I said, Jansen with all of his health scares, and Joe Kelly hurt himself cooking. So, it's just all these freak injuries that happen. So that's, if I had to kind of put point a finger on what I'm least confident in, I think it's just the health of the pitching staff that we have.
Yeah, I worded it least confident, but I'm going to answer it what I'm, worried about, or what worries me about this team. And it's not the offense, but it's the players that are expected to maintain or get back to previous form. You got Austin Barnes, you got Chris Taylor, you got Cody Bellinger, who are trying to, Bellinger and Taylor had good years. Barnes didn't. But, getting back to that 2017 form. You got Max Muncy, who came in out of nowhere, hit 35 home runs last year. And as we saw with Taylor and Bellinger and, Barnes, that might not happen again. He might struggle this season. And, if all 4 of those guys are struggling, and, even Jock Peterson had a kind of a career year last year in a certain sense, and if he struggles, and if all those guys are struggling, they don't have the stuff in the minor leagues to replenish that right now.
Yeah.
So, and they'll be struggling, and they might have to make some, not panic moves, but maybe make some moves. So that would be what would worry the most. Not that I'm worried about it, but if I did have to pick something, that'd be what I'd be worried about. All right, real quick, we're gonna run through these last 3. Name it, and 1 sentence. Team MVP at the end of the year.
Team MVP at the end of the year. Cody Bellinger.
Okay, I don't want to pick the same, so I'm going to go Walker Buehler. That's
okay.
My guy. I love him.
Yeah.
I think he's going to not take the crown from Kershaw, but he's gonna break it in half and wear half.
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay. 1 bold prediction that that you bring the hot take.
Bold prediction. I'm gonna kind of do a 2-parter. I'm gonna get two all-stars that maybe one most people might think of, but the other I'm gonna go Austin Barnes is gonna be an all-star this year, all-star catcher, but also AJ Pollock. AJ, he's obviously been an all-star before, so it's not like a huge bold prediction, but with the injuries that he's had in the last few years, everyone kind of sees it as a why did we sign him kind of thing. But I think he's just going to be consistent. I think he'll kind of get out of that. I don't know if it's the weather in Arizona or whatever, but he's kind of out of that. And I think he's just ready to have fun. I think he's ready with these guys. You see him having fun. He was rocking out with Stripling and all those guys. So I'm going to go AJ Pollock and Austin Barnes will be 2 of hopefully many Dodger All-Stars.
All right. I like that. I obviously would not mind if that happened.
Yeah.
I'm going to go bold, and I'm going to say the Dodgers have the most wins in the entire league.
Nice. Yep.
The National League is not too big of a stretch in saying that, but you got the Yankees and Red Sox and Astros in the American League, and with not so great divisions behind them, especially in the AL West and the Astros, I'm going to say the Dodgers lead the entire league in wins. All right, last thing, final prediction. How many wins do the Dodgers finish with?
I'm going to go right under triple digits. I'm going to go 98 to 99 wins. Like I said, I'm very confident in the NL West, that we can kind of, run through that division pretty easily. And, like I said, with the NL East, it's going to be tricky with all those teams being good, but I got confidence. I'm going to go right under that 100 mark. So I'm going to go like 98, 99 wins.
All right. So I obviously have to go over 100 because of my bold prediction right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go 105.
105. That would beat the 2017 104.
So I'm going to go 105. We're getting bold over here. And that's what I want to see. So that's what we're gonna get.
Yeah, I'm just excited, man. It's this time of the year is always the best time of the year. So I'm just excited for opening day, and we're gonna be out there on Saturday. So I'm excited that see Stripling pitch. So Maeda, that's right, Maeda pitch on Saturday. So it'll be just excited, man. Another year.
Yeah. Remember, fans, the season does not end in April. The season will not end in May. The season probably won't even end in June. As we've learned over the years, let's take it easy, trust the Dodgers, and, enjoy the season. There's 162 games. Let's enjoy them. That wraps it up for today, the season preview. This has been Mike Samperio and Vince Samperio, and we'll be back throughout the season with more updates and everything else covering the Dodgers.